Hi everybody, welcome back. Tony again with Shinsho Yoga. And for this week's video, I'd like to talk a little bit about what is the goal of yoga, right? What is the goal of yoga? People go into yoga, maybe that's why you're watching this video, you're like, well, I'd like to learn more about yoga and things like that. And maybe you're going in because you want to become more flexible, or you heard it was good for, health-wise, good for exercise, or maybe you heard, well, it's peaceful and it helps with your mindfulness. But what is the goal of yoga? The goal of yoga is the process of yoga. The process of doing yoga is the goal of yoga. If you go to yoga classes, or if you do yoga, you have achieved the goal of yoga. Now, in our Western world, if you're watching this here in the West, a lot of the world today, that might be counterintuitive, right? You may be like, well, but there has to be a reason, there's a goal. Yeah, the reason is the process. In spirituality, modern spirituality, ancient spirituality, the process is everything. Our Western world, we set up goals of places to achieve, that you have reached this and then you are done. There is no done ever with yoga. Right? The mastery of yoga is the mastery of this. And it's not something that is static, that once you've achieved that, it maintains forever. You have to continually work on that. So the goal of yoga is the process of yoga. Doing yoga is the goal. How well you do in yoga that day, whether physically or mentally or anything along those lines, is inconsequential to the practice. Whether you become stronger, lose weight, become more fit, become more peaceful, become more mindful, become more flexible, that is all ancillary to the process of yoga. The goal of yoga is the process of yoga. And if you focus on that process of yoga, that you are just there to be present in the moment that you're in that mat, on your mat, that day, that moment, and putting your best effort and honest effort for that day. And whatever that is, only you know that. Your teacher doesn't know that. And if you're looking to impress your teacher, once again, you've got the wrong goal. And if a teacher is looking for you to impress them, you might want to find a different teacher, because that is not the goal of yoga. The teacher is there to hold the space and act as a guide. It is your job to do the work. Right? And your work that you're doing on that day, wherever your body is, whether you are Gumby that day or you the Tin Man that day, is to put your honest effort in for that day, the best you can do. Breathe, follow your breath, let the thoughts arise, let them pass by, return to the breath, coming back to being present in the moment you're in, finding those moments of stillness in the posture, right? Wherever they are for that day. Maybe the week before you were in your class and you did phenomenally. You got into all these poses and you were really going into deep advanced postures, and this week you can't. That's okay, it doesn't matter. Are you putting in your honest effort for that day? Are you putting in your best effort for that day? Are you breathing? Are you following your breath? Are you present in the moment? That's what matters. And then if you're not, then that's what you do, right? In your practice, you're like, I don't know if I'm really putting in my best effort. Then put in your best effort, whatever that is that day. Maybe you woke up that day and you're like, bang, you're ready to go. And man, you're going to go and you're going to move through the postures. And you're like, oh, class was easy. Great. Maybe next week it's not so much. Maybe you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe you were helping a friend move the day before, and then now you're like, and everything is hard. And you may say to yourself, I didn't achieve the greatness in the class that I did last time. That's not the goal. Were you present in the moment? Did you put your honest effort in? Did you do the best you could for yourself that day? Breathe and follow your breath. If you did all that, then you did yoga. The goal of yoga is the process of yoga. All of the things that come from doing yoga, right? The flexibility, the better health, mindfulness, peace, all those things come from the process. Your focus needs to be on the process and putting in that best effort for that day, and that's it. You do that, all the other things will come. And if you don't do that, then you correct it for the next time, and you do that. That's all. I know when I first started yoga and I started to get openness in my body, one of the postures I struggle with is pyramid posture, sometimes called intense side stretch, right, or runner's stretch. It's we're working on from a kind of a triangle position, not triangle itself, but you're folding over the legs with the legs straight and more of kind of a warrior one with the legs wide. I have tight hamstrings. I'm a guy. I have those standard kind of tight hamstrings and hips. And that posture just is always difficult for me. I always have to modify. I can't just fold over that leg. And there was one time in one of my teacher's classes where, bang, I just did it, man. I don't know how I did it, but I got rid of the blocks and I went right down to that leg and I was like, oh my God, I did it. And then the next time in class, we did pyramid pose, I needed the blocks. And I sat and, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? What did I do right the last time? I want to talk to my teacher. Can you do that same class again the way you did before? It's not the goal of yoga. The goal of yoga is the process of yoga. And as you will learn to apply that in your life, because the process is everything in spirituality, that you learn that everything is about the process. There is no mastery. Mastery is the continual growth, right? You're either growing or you're dying. There is no stagnation. If you're not moving, you're dying. We look to continue to grow, whatever it is, especially in relationships. Very good book called The 7 Levels of Intimacy talked about this. Relationships grow or die. Everything grows or dies. There is no stagnation. It's either growing or it's dying. And in yoga, we look to just continually grow and grow and grow, continually evolve. Right? There is no here I'm going to get, because that means that's an end. You grow and grow and grow until your life is over. And that's it. And that's all you have to do, is just the process of yoga. Just doing the process, and all those other things will come from it. Don't look to be the best at it. There is no best at it. Your yoga is your yoga. The person's next to you yoga is there. Your neighbor's yoga is there. Your yoga is your yoga. You do the best you can for you and your yoga, for your body, for your mind on that day. Whatever that day is, you put in your best effort. And you do that, and you have done yoga, and you have succeeded in yoga by doing that. And you just do that every time. Life is about the process. And yoga is the practice of that. Practicing, embracing that process, and being good with that process and enjoying that process. The more you can do that, the more you will get out of life, and the more things will come to you. Just by doing that process, all the other things will come. That's it for this week. As always, take from that what serves you, get rid of the rest, but don't take what's comfortable and get rid of what's uncomfortable, because we often need what's uncomfortable to serve us. Thanks again for watching. Namaste.